Hi everyone, it's Jill with Greenwood Girl Cards, and I thought I would come on and try and do the tutorial for you using the stocking tag die from Tim Holtz, the one in my last video where I shared my projects for Myra's challenge for Crafty Rats on YouTube. So to start with, you need to die cut the stocking. So here's my stocking. This time I'm doing it out of some music paper that I just got off of Pinterest. The music is God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, I believe. So I die cut it out of that paper, and then I also die cut it out of red to get the pieces for the stocking. And then the first thing you need to do, of course, is to take some sort of sponge and ink and just edge around your die cuts. And that's just to give them a little bit of dimension. And because I'm kind of going for a distressed old-fashioned tag, the inking also helps with that look. So, and I think everybody's pretty used to doing, to inking edges of things. So you would go around the whole die cut as well as each of the individual toe pieces and the top piece. Okay, and for the sake of the video, I went ahead and did that, and I glued my pieces on just to speed up the processing of the video a little bit. So this one is all inked and ready to go. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is you need your other pieces ready that are going to go into the stocking at the top. And so I die cut a candy cane in red, and then I also die cut this die that I showed, that's the little frond die. So, oh, what do you call this? From like a Christmas tree. So the Greenery. Okay, so I die cut it out of a dark green cardstock, and then out of a kind of an olive colored cardstock. And those are what's going to make the Greenery at the top of our tag. And then I also die cut some snowflakes, and actually I need to go grab those, so hold on just a second. And I die cut 3 of these snowflakes right here. I can't tell you for sure where this snowflake is from. It may be from Tailored Expressions, but I think any snowflake that you have that fits the size of the stocking would work. And what I do to get some definition is I actually die cut 3 of them, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to glue these together. And that's going to create, it's kind of like creating a chipboard die cut, because essentially you're gluing 3 pieces together in order to get a thicker dimension of on your for your snowflake. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just going to stick 3 of them together. I don't know if I was in frame just then, but essentially I just put glue on the back, and then you just try to line it up before your glue dries. Try and get right on top of the previous die cut. And then you could stop at 2, but I go ahead and do 3 because that extra thickness and that extra dimension does add to the tag. Anything that adds texture to something you're creating helps draw the eye in, I think. So I'm going to add a 3rd one right on top, just like that. And what's nice about this Tombow glue is it does dry really fast. So pretty much as soon as you finish putting those together, it's ready to go on your project. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of this little snowflake now to also stay in keeping with what I'm doing on my tag here. So the ink I'm using is a light kind of craft colored ink from Stampin' Up! This time. And it's one I've had in my stash for a long time. So, and I'm just giving it a light dusting of ink across the top too, so that it'll kind of blend in a little bit with my tag there. And I don't know, that may blend in almost too much, so I don't know. I'm not sure if I like that. And this is what happens when you're creating, you know, when you're trying to do a tutorial, sometimes the ideas you have don't always work out on camera. So I'm not sure about that. I think what might look better is a red one or a red star. So I'll have to think about that, or putting it up here at the corner maybe and adding some red to it somehow. I'm just not too sure now. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and do the rest of our design. So I'm going to add a little bit of inked edges to the edge of our pine fronds, just to give them also a little bit more dimension. And eventually I'm going to be adding glitter glue to this too. But for now, we'll just do the ink. And part of these aren't going to show, so you don't need to worry about the bottom as much as the top. The bottom half of this is going to be glued onto the back of the stocking. So I'm more worried about the pieces that are going to show up here, like that. Okay, so that's done. And then to make my candy cane have a little bit more dimension to it, I'm going to use, you can do one of two things depending on what you have in your stash. You can use a chalk pencil. This one is charcoal white, and it's called General's charcoal white pencil. And this works really good for adding. I'll show you what it looks like on one of them. You just draw with it, and it's going to add a white line. And so you can make the, I hope I'm in frame here a little bit. Yeah, I am. You can make the white part as thick or as thin as you want it for the candy cane. There are lines in the die cut that sort of delineate the lines of the candy cane. And so it's kind of fun to kind of go over them, and it leaves sort of a red mark, like there's a second white line in there. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just following the lines that are there from the die cut and adding my white chalk. And again, you don't really need to do the bottom of the candy cane because, to be honest, it's not going to show. But so there it is, just with white pencil added. Okay, but there are other products that you can use too. I have a snow marker. This is by Marvy Uchida, and we can take a look at this too. So using the same candy cane die cut, you have to kind of get these going. So you have to kind of push down the tip. Oops, there it goes. And then eventually it does start to flow a little bit. And you just go along the lines the same way that I did with the chalk pencil. And then it has to dry. Oops, that got really wet there. And then it has to dry. Oops. So, and this is kind of making a mess today. It worked really well the other night. Maybe I didn't shake it enough. That could be it. Let me see. I need a little wipe. Does everybody keep wipes in their room for when you have these little disasters, or at least some paper towels or something? But I just need a little something to wipe this up with. So anyway, it worked really well on the first tag, the one that I made for Myra, but maybe my pencil is just not working today. Which, of course, it isn't, because I'm on camera. Right, you guys? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong when you're on camera. At least that's my opinion. So, yeah, this isn't mixed right today. And it could be, it's been in the 90s here in Seattle. It could just be that we're having problems because of the humidity. So I'm going to let that go for now, and I'm going to just stick with the one that I did that's with the white pencil. And I use a lot of white pencil on my Christmas tags every year, especially on my gingerbread men. If you go back and look at some of my older videos, the gingerbread men a lot of times are decorated with a white pencil. So what you can do after you do the white pencil is, I use this 3D glitter liner, and this is a Viva Decor product. And then, you've got the chalk pencil on there, so you just take the Viva Decor and you just go over wherever you put the pencil, And that's what makes your candy cane sparkle in the stocking once you add it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this on, and then we'll let it dry. Whoops. Alrighty. So I am going to stop here and I'll be back, okay? Okay, I'm back. I had to take a quick break. So we have where we left off was we have our candy cane glittered up. We have our fronds that have been inked, and I'm not going to add glitter glue to them until I have the tag all glued together. And then I wanted to show you, someone was asking where I got the gingerbread men from for my tag that I made for Myra. And so I thought I'd show really quick. This is the Ho 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 stamp set from Paper Sweeties, and these are the two little gingerbread men. And then it comes, you can also get the match. Okay, I'm back again. This video is not going as smoothly as some of my other tutorials have gone, but that's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? I also have this little tag that says Warm Winter Wishes, and this again is from the Lily of the Valley stamps from the UK. And I'm going to edge this die cut too. Or this really isn't a die cut. This is a hand cut tag from a stamp set. So anyway, that says Warm Winter Wishes. I hope my camera is somewhat clear. Oops, that isn't dry. All right, so I'm going to close up my ink because I have everything inked, I think, finally. And this is actually crumb cake ink from Stampin' Up, in case you guys were wondering what I'm using. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just kind of start gluing all of our pieces on. And so I think I want the dark green one in front and the light green in back, like that. So you can see these are going to take up part of the tag in back. And what you can do too. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, on camera I showed you how I glued the fronds in place, and then we need to add our little gingerbread man. I think this time I'm going to use a gingerbread girl, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of her and slip her into the tag. There we go. And what I like to do is just kind of put her in between the fronds so she looks like she's kind of standing in there. Okay. And we also need to add the candy cane die cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Put some. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, on camera I showed you how I glued the fronds in place, and then we need to add our little gingerbread man. I think this time I'm going to use a gingerbread girl, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of her and slip her into the tag. There we go. And what I like to do is just kind of put her in between the fronds so she looks like she's kind of standing in there. Okay. And we also need to add the candy cane die cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Put some. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, on camera I showed you how I glued the fronds in place, and then we need to add our little gingerbread man. I think this time I'm going to use a gingerbread girl, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of her and slip her into the tag. There we go. And what I like to do is just kind of put her in between the fronds so she looks like she's kind of standing in there. Okay. And we also need to add the candy cane die cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Put some. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, on camera I showed you how I glued the fronds in place, and then we need to add our little gingerbread man. I think this time I'm going to use a gingerbread girl, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of her and slip her into the tag. There we go. And what I like to do is just kind of put her in between the fronds so she looks like she's kind of standing in there. Okay. And we also need to add the candy cane die cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Put some. Hi everybody, I'm back again, and I'm just finishing the last couple steps of this tag. The video is very choppy and I apologize for that, but I've just been having problems with my iPhone and the storage amount that's on there and stuff. It just isn't happy with me. And I've tried doing all sorts of things, but nothing's working today. So anyway, I am just adding the last few pieces to my little stocking tag, and that'll be it for this little tutorial. So the last remaining thing that you do is, once you get everything glued down, is let it all dry and then take your glitter glue, and I just add glitter all around the tag, and I also add it to